All right, welcome back to the channel. It's your boy Fanon, and Tim Bradley out here disrespecting Terence Crawford and Gervonta Davis like it ain't nobody's business. Let's talk about what Tim Bradley said in the telecast with Monster Inoue in this video. Tim Bradley and the ESPN news, boxing news commentators that work with him are absolutely terrible for American boxing. Absolutely terrible. When you listen to what the commentary that they delivered when Monster Inoue fought a replacement fighter that was a no-hoper in Japan this morning. But before I get into the details, let me welcome you back to the channel. If you are new to the channel, please accept my invitation to hit the subscribe button and hit the bell icon so you can be notified of when we release more videos. And if you're a longtime subscriber and supporter of the channel, thank you so much. But let's get into this because this is just highly irritating to me. I'm a fan of boxing. I've been a fan of boxing for a very long time. I've been a fan of boxing since the mid-70s. I didn't, obviously, in the early 70s, I was a little kid. So, you know, I missed a lot of the stuff that was going on. Didn't understand a lot of the things that were going on, a lot of the politics around boxing. But I've been a consistent boxing fan since then. So I've seen a lot of people come and I've seen a lot of people go. I've listened to commentary and the way that HBO was so heavily slanted against Black American fighters just to see it move on up into where we are today, where there's literally almost nothing that a PBC fighter can do right to get the treatment that they deserve. Over even Terence Crawford and other American fighters get disrespected like nobody's belief on these foreign telecasts where American commentators join in on the American hate fest. And I'm sorry, that's exactly how I see it when I listen to Tim Bradley talk about the champions in boxing. Now, just so you just set the stage for this, Monster Inoue is an excellent fighter. He's an excellent fighter. He's the top fighter from 122 pounds down. I would never disagree with that. He looks like he's highly skilled. Most fight fans and boxing fans that watch him and trainers that watch Monster Inoue fight say he's a terrific fighter. He's an exceptional fighter. However, it's not enough to say that Monster Inoue is a good fighter. They have to go to the extreme of it, that he is proof. How great he is proof of the downfall of American boxing. I'm telling you, they link the two. There's a graphic that came up, and I've had this argument with so many people on Twitter, so many people on YouTube that please excuse me, but it irritates me. Ever since like the year 2000 that I can remember, so like 23 years, roughly, right around the time the Klitschko's started doing well and the Klitschko's became, you know, the heavyweight champions. The argument was that American boxing is dying. It's now global. This was way back in 2000. Way back then, the statement was American boxing is dying. European fighters are taking over. That line of reasoning in the mainstream media has not stopped, period. It has gone on, and you just change the names, change the people, but the same talk is still there. But guess what? In the early 2000s, I counted the number of champions that we had. And the number of champions that Americans had then was between 14 and 16. Between 14 and 16. Guess how many we have right now? We have 16. Japan has 9. Where are those 9? Those 9 are all below the weight of 118 pounds and what was traditionally called the Japanese weight classes. Why do they call them the Japanese weight classes? Because there isn't a lot of Americans or Mexicans, even though there are more Mexicans than Black Americans that fight in those divisions. Because you're not going to find a lot of grown Black men that can weigh 108, 112, 115, 118 pounds walking into a ring. They are literally the most shallow weight classes that there are in all of boxing. Nowhere near as deep as middleweight, lightweight, welterweight. Even heavyweight is more deep than those little weight classes are. They just don't have enough people to put in it. So once you get past the top 3 guys, you start going to part-time kickboxers and things like that in those weight classes. Regardless, they've got 9 world champions. The United States of America right now has 16. We are and have been the number 1 country as it comes to reigning champions in the sport of boxing. But when the numbers come up, right? They say, oh, Japan has 9. Man, what a wonderful job. But to explain away the fact that the United States has 16, they have to say, well, there's so many divisions, there's so many weight classes that anybody can be a champion. Literally, they say for Monster Inoue in Japan, 9. Wow, that's incredible. But when you look at it and try to explain, well, why does the United States have 7 more champions than Japan does? Oh, well, that's because there's so many weight classes and anybody can be a champion. Well, then wouldn't that also apply? Wouldn't that also apply to Japan and their 9 champions? Of course not. But who do they compare Monster Inoue to? Monster Inoue is on Muhammad Ali's level. He's on Sugar Ray, never having fought the competition that those guys fought. But more than anything, just totally disrespecting Terence Crawford, totally disrespecting Gervonta Davis, because those 2 guys are the number 1. In my book, those guys are the number 1 and number 2 pound for pound fighters in the world. You can talk about Alexander Usyk and Alexander Usyk being the number 1 guy. Alexander Usyk is the number 1 guy in boxing, period. Personally, I don't even put heavyweights in the weight class in pound for pound conversations because there's no weight class. And so Alexander Usyk deserves all the credit in the world, but that just because Alexander Usyk is a great fighter, that does not mean that the country of Ukraine is taking over for the United States. They've got 2 world champions. We've got 16. And the funny thing is, if there was fewer belts, that we would have probably a smaller number, but those other countries would lose them. Baranachik is not about to be a champion at 135. I'm sorry. Stanionis, if they had 1 belt, would not be a champion at 147 pounds. But anyway, to me, it just strikes me how quick American commentators are to throw in American boxing underneath the bus. Now, all of the excitement around Monster Inoue in Japan, God bless Japan, God bless Monster Inoue, and I'm glad he's having fun. But I'm not going to say Monster Inoue is some all-time great fighter until he gets into the all-time great fighter weight classes, like 126, 122. He's doing his thing at 122, but really, it's 118 to 126. Now, is he a Hall of Famer? Probably he's a Hall of Famer. Got no problem with that. But so is Terence Crawford. So is Terence Crawford. So is Gervonta Davis. And the fact that we've got so many up-and-coming fighters who, by the way, have hard times getting shots at titles. What about the fact that at 126 pounds, Gary Russell Jr. was for 5 years, and none of the other champions would even fight him. But look, I'm up early watching Monster Inoue. I thought that fight looked like a rigged fight, looked like it was a thrown fight to me, because that guy started waving him in, took 3 or 4 shots, hit with a clean one, went down and acted like he couldn't have got up. That man absolutely could have got up, and he quit. Now, it looked to me like maybe somebody bet the over. But anyway, I just thought the whole conversation was crazy disrespectful to Terence Crawford and Gervonta Davis and other American fighters when you act like the only reason that there's 16 world champions for the America is because there's so many belts available, so many sanctioning bodies, right? But when you're looking at Monster Inoue, you don't see that. Also, I'd like to be very direct about this whole Undisputed thing. Undisputed is a great thing, but Undisputed is incredibly political. Incredibly political. They will not let you fight for if the politics ain't right, they're not going to let you fight for it. Gervonta Davis is not going to get a shot at undisputed at 135 pounds because all of the other championship belts, except Shakur Stevenson, were all held by Top Rank. And you could see that they were fighting each other in their own tournament and leaving him out of that tournament. But everybody in Japan is going to fight Monster Inoue because Monster Inoue is literally the only fighter over there that anybody gives a fat rat about. But anyway, that's my take on the matter. Please let me know what you think in the comment section. And with that, I'm out. Deuces.